Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Moses Itauma. Look, man, obviously he's a special talent. But I don't know if him feeling that he's better than Usyk, saying that his skills are on par or better, how he feels that he's also, surpassed Mike Tyson, what Mike Tyson did at his age. I don't know if that's confidence or if that's a catastrophe. I'm just being real with you. Is he getting caught up in the hype? He can fight, most definitely. But is he getting caught up in the hype? Because when I hear these young fighters start saying shit like this, I'm better than Mike Tyson. I'm going to be further along at my age than Mike Tyson. At 20 years old, that my skills are better than Alexander Usyk's skills. To that I say, in the most respectful way, hey, yo, Itauma, you a bad boy, man, but don't take it to the stupid. Now, one thing about the hype, there's one man out here who does not care about the hype that's surrounding Moses Itauma, and that's Dillian Whyte. So, for me, is Itauma's confidence, is that a weapon? Is that something that's going to push him forward in this fight and subsequent fights to outdo Mike Tyson and knock everybody out, Or is it a trap that he's setting for himself because he starts thinking that he's something that maybe he's not right now? And he gets in the ring with Dillian Whyte this weekend, and Dillian Whyte tranquilizes him. Now, as far as Itauma and his claims, in recent interviews, drink some coffee, I'm tired. In recent interviews, man, he claimed I don't understand how anybody in boxing can claim to have better skills than Usyk. Two-weight undisputed champion, known for his footwork, for his IQ, adaptability, just known for being able to do everything perfectly. But out here trying to chase the legacy of Mike Tyson, want to become the youngest heavyweight champion in history, saying that you're going to surpass Mike Tyson, that you're ready for Usyk and you'll beat him if you fight him after Dillian Whyte. I mean, it's one thing to have a goal, but these are statements that are being made by Itauma, and I think he's put a target on himself because he's got to perform now. Fans are looking at him now like me. I support him, but I think he's taking it to the stupid with all this shit. Because Dillian Whyte isn't coming to lay down. Itauma can't afford to lose to Dillian Whyte. I just don't think Dillian Whyte can win. But then I was listening to Buddy McGurk, Dillian Whyte's trainer. He said something because they were asking him about Dillian Whyte and Dillian Whyte being in shape. And he said something about, Dillian Whyte has been doing road work. 6 o'clock in the morning, Buddy McGurk's out there with him. He's driving, Dillian Whyte is running. But he said something about Caleb Smith that got my attention about how he doesn't know what Caleb Smith does for conditioning, nutrition. He just knows when he comes to the gym, he doesn't worry about it, he trains him. When he said that, first thing I thought about, you know what I thought about? Eddie Reynoso. I said, damn, that shit sound like Eddie Reynoso right there. With all the guys who tested positive for PEDs, that was Eddie Reynoso's position. Look, I just train fighters. But anyway, I ain't trying to turn over no goddamn rocks here, but for Dillian Whyte to look the way he looked, and Buddy McGurk to say he doesn't really get involved with the strength and conditioning and nutrition piece, he just kind of trains fighters. I just think he could have just not even spoke on that at all. That's what I'll say. But, as far as Moses Itauma, this talks about him being better than Usyk and shit. That shit can hurt him and hurt him badly. Because, let me mute this. Here's the danger. Dillian Whyte is a veteran, nothing to lose. He's got power. He's got everything to prove. He's got Buddy McGurk on his team, and Buddy McGurk knows how to win. Dillian Whyte's been in the trenches with Fury, fought AJ, fought Povetkin, fought Parker. He's fought a lot of people. But one thing about him, Dillian Whyte, when it comes to fights, he can make a fight a war. And Buddy McGurk wants to make this fight a war. He wants to make the fight a mash-up, crash-up, but he wants to do it intelligently and get the young boxing phenom, the young KO puncher, get him into deep water to see how he does then. Now, if Dillian Whyte can get Moses Itauma into the trenches, and Dillian Whyte has stamina, has his legs underneath him, well, now we got to fight. But I just don't think that that's going to work. I know the strategy is to drag Itauma into deep waters, make it ugly, test his chin, his stamina, his composure. But I think that's a bad idea if Itauma comes in composed, focused, sticking to the game plan. But if Itauma is coming in thinking, I'm already elite, he might underestimate the grind, he might underestimate the grit, and he might underestimate the pain of being in a real dogfight, which is what Dillian Whyte can create. And shit could go south for Itauma. So confidence is good, but when it comes to arrogance, that to me is how a hype train can get, derailed. Coming out here getting caught up in your own hype. Now, as far as Itauma and his strengths, these are some things he possesses that makes him believe that he's going to surpass Mike Tyson, that he is on par, better skills than Usyk and will beat Usyk. He has speed, he has power, he's a southpaw, and he's young. Speed, power, southpaw, and young. Those are big-time advantages when it comes to boxing for any fighter getting in the ring. But one of his weaknesses, or several of his weaknesses, is he has limited rounds, but you don't get paid for overtime, so if you can get there and get somebody out with the first punch, that's what you do. And that's what he's been doing. But as a result, he's had limited rounds, untested under pressure, so no one knows how he'll perform. I don't even think he knows. But in sparring, they should definitely be working through that. And he does have defensive gaps. If Dillian Whyte can exploit a defensive gap in Itauma and catch him with Dillian Whyte's money punch, the left hook, this shit could be all bad. But for me, I'm just not seeing that. But I do understand him being a young man gives him advantages, but also gives him disadvantages because he's young and inexperienced. He's a big boy too, like 6'5" or something like that, 6'5.5". He's got slow reflexes, fast hands, but his reflexes aren't the fastest. So there's a chance Dillian Whyte could catch up to him and land something. And then just the wear and tear. You know what I'm saying? My understanding with Moses Itauma is he puts in a lot of work. A lot of work in the gym. But again, they say he's still somewhat fresh, but the fact that he doesn't have the wear and tear and has been through the grind and hasn't been through a grind and hasn't been through the trenches, they're saying those are things that could affect him. So if he doesn't respect Dillian Whyte and Dillian Whyte's experience, he could get hit with a counter that he just doesn't see coming. Because Dillian Whyte is definitely looking to land something big. But what happens now? Okay, Dillian Whyte gets in the ring, Moses Itauma gets in the ring. All these bold claims by Itauma and what he's going to do. When he meets reality in that ring, we're going to find out if Moses Itauma is the future or just another fighter who believed in his own hype too soon. And we've seen it happen, man. But on August 16th, the next 3 days, we're going to get our answers. But, the debate's going to continue to rage on when it comes to those guys. There's something that I pulled up I wanted to share with you. Where is it? Okay, right here. Okay. Now, when it comes to Dillian Whyte, when it comes to Itauma, there's a chart. Okay, here it is. Dillian Whyte's a bit. He's not the fastest, but he's definitely there to be hit by a guy with super fast hands, explosive power by Itauma. Natural coordination for Dillian Whyte. I just think them first 4 rounds is just crazy. Dillian Whyte's going to be in so much trouble. He's going to have to get past them early rounds, but I just don't think he does it. Itauma's kind of calm and collective, but he's young and he's hungry. And at 20, he's improving rapidly. And we're going to see this weekend just the growth of Itauma when he faces off with Dillian Whyte. And I think he's going to be too much for him. And as far as the sparring pedigree, he's trained with everybody. Akoli, Joshua, AJ, Bakoli. He's trained with everyone. So he's not a veteran like Dillian Whyte, but he's been putting the work in away from the camera to make sure that he's able to get in the ring and perform. Now, he's going to fall short in a few areas. This is where Dillian Whyte is going to have some opportunities. This whole thing about Itauma wanting to fight Usyk and thinking he'll beat Usyk. That's good for Dillian Whyte because Itauma could be overlooking Dillian because, TURKI ALALSHIKH wants Itauma to fight Usyk. TURKI ALALSHIKH, you don't know what kind of numbers and money that's already been discussed. Itauma could be distracted. And that gives a guy like Dillian Whyte a huge opportunity to come in and, upset the apple cart. Usyk's a 2-weight world division champion, man. Undisputed champion. Cruiserweight and heavyweight. You just don't. I just don't understand how someone can think that they have the same skills or better skills than a guy like Usyk after seeing what Usyk has done in boxing, but especially at the heavyweight division and especially what he did to Danny DeBar in the rematch. I don't see it. Usyk's ring IQ, just everything. I just think a guy like Itauma needs to. He should have confidence. It's not inherently wrong, but I just think it makes great fighters. But objectively, claiming superior skills to Usyk is just a bit premature because he's fighting Dillian Whyte, and if he doesn't get Dillian Whyte out there, that means that his skills are nowhere near Dillian Whyte's, and definitely nowhere near Alexander Usyk. So let's sit back and just wait and see if, in fact, Itauma can do the business, continue to grow his resume. We'll see his technique improve, and we'll see if he, is of a championship pedigree. And then we can put him on a different tier. But as of right now, I don't know. I think he definitely got to convincingly beat Dillian Whyte, continue to evolve, and maybe he can earn all those claims that he's kind of throwing out there. But until then, like I said in the beginning of the video, it's more hype, not proof. But it's definitely going to be a good-ass fight. Itauma, Dillian Whyte, then possibly Usyk. But, man, I hope Itauma ain't getting caught up in his own hype. There are a lot of fighters who thought they were already at the pinnacle of the sport and hadn't really done much yet. And when they got into a real fight, things didn't go their way and they lost and got knocked out. Moses Itauma runs the risk of getting viciously knocked out by Dillian Whyte if, in fact, he's caught up in his own hype and hasn't tightened up his defense. I don't see Dillian Whyte winning, though, but, if Moses Itauma is taking it to the stupid, Whyte is going to have an opportunity to go on into a bigger fight, bigger money, and what do you call himself? The old dog. You still have teeth, right? Well, the old dog will get an opportunity to bite somebody again. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. In the breeze.